Hi, today we're going to talk about simple interest. First thing you need to know about simple interest is what is it? So, most commonly, but not the only way that it's used, is when you deposit money into a bank, then they reward you for leaving your money in that bank by giving you some interest. That means they give you a little bit of money back. Another way it's used is if you borrow money from a bank, well, then you have to reward them for letting you use their money. And so you have to pay them a little bit of extra money. So, simple interest, there's a formula for simple interest, and it is I equals PRT, where I is your simple interest, P is your principal amount. That means that's the amount of money you originally put into the bank, or it's the amount of money you originally borrowed from the bank. So it's like your original amount. We call it your principal. R is your rate. So that's usually some kind of percentage that you are paying back to the bank if you borrowed money, or the bank is paying to you if you have your money deposited into the bank. And the last one is T for time. Time is in years. So if you ever see a problem that gives you the time in months, like 6 months or 12 months, you need to change that into half a year or 1 year, something like that. So let me go ahead and show you a couple of examples of simple interest problems. So let's have a character. We'll say his name is John. And John borrows $15,000 from the bank at a simple interest rate of 4%. How much does he owe the bank after 5 years? So let's look at our formula. Our formula was I for our interest equals P for the principal amount, R for the rate, T for the time. So now to use this formula, we're just going to plug in what we know. Have they told us the simple interest? No, they haven't. That was easy. So I'm just going to leave it as I. Have they told us a principal amount? Yeah, they told us the amount that he borrowed was $15,000. Have they told us a rate? Yes, 4%. I'm going to change that into a decimal. And have they told us the amount of time in years? Yes, they have. It was 5 years. Now, this one's pretty great. You can just multiply all of this stuff together. So 15,000 times 0.04 times 5, and that is 3,000. 3,000 is the extra amount of money that John is going to owe to the bank after 5 years. Well, that's just the extra amount. If we're wondering how much does he owe the bank, he has to pay the interest, but he also has to pay the original amount that he borrowed. So he has to pay that $15,000 that he borrowed plus that interest, that extra amount of money that he's going to pay the bank. And that looks like that's a total of $18,000 is what he owes to the bank after 5 years. So that's one example of a simple interest problem. Let's go ahead and do one more. Sarah, we'll go with deposits, $400 into her bank account. After 8 years, she now has $1,000 in her bank account. What was her simple interest rate? So same thing, it's simple interest. I'm going to start with that formula, I equals PRT. Oh, there's an announcement. First thing is interest. Well, it doesn't specifically, that's supposed to be 1,000. It doesn't specifically say an interest, but it does tell us what she started with and what she ended with. which means we can solve for her interest. We're going to subtract 1,000 minus 400, which means her interest is $600. That's the extra amount that the bank gave her for leaving her money in the bank. Principal is the amount she started with, that she deposited. That was her 400. Rate, well, that's the thing we're looking for. We don't know what that is. And time was 8 years. So now we're going to solve. First thing I'm going to do is multiply together 400 times 8. 400 times 8 is 32,000. And we still have times r. Now it's just a one-step equation. I'm going to divide by 3,200 on both sides of my equal sign. And because I, divided, that's gone, and I just have r equals 600 divided by 3,200, and that equals 0.1875, so that's 18.75% was her rate. I'm going to be honest, that's like an incredibly high rate. Usually at the bank, it's going to be like 1% or something like that. But there you go. That is simple interest and using the simple interest formula.